I should tweet about this because we're live now.
Yay! We like being live.
There is exactly 0 people.
We love that. It's all right. I was live for 0 people for a while last night.
Oh, there's 3.
Hello, people. It's all right. I was live for 0 people for a while last night.
Oh, there's 3. Is that me or you?
I don't have it open on the computer.
Okay, I think that was me.
Yeah, I was like, that's it. No, I don't have the stream open on my computer, so it must be you.
Yeah. Fabulous way to start the stream.
Hey, we're professionals. What are you talking about?
Okay, hi Abby.
Hey, Abby. It's weird not seeing the chat pop up for me because I'm used to being the host.
You should still be able to see it on your sidebar.
No, I see nothing.
It should still be there. You just can't click on anything.
Now. Oh, I see it. I see people. I was in the wrong chat.
Hello, Anne.
Hello.
Okay, so the way this is set up is basically everything is going to be in about 20-minute chunks. These streams are aimed to be half talk show, half sprints. The talk show part will be us talking because we have not prepared funny stories in advance like they do on actual talk shows.
Yeah, nope.
I have some questions for Jenna, and we will be covering books. Obviously, it's a BookTube channel.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to talk about BookTube, mind-blowing, and then also Twitch, because Jenna is a Twitch streamer, if anybody doesn't know, and our readathon, because we co-host a readathon with Pat from Brews and Reviews.
Yep.
We have some things coming up.
Yeah. In case you were wondering
why we just started laughing. Yeah.
Oh dear. Everything's fine. What? I'm not burnt out from a long week at work.
Okay. So part 1 is going to be books and BookTube. If anybody wants to ask questions or comment as we go, feel free to put in the chat. And then I am going to try and have like a comment section at the end of each talking section. Mm-hmm. Okay. So first off, what are you reading tonight?
Reading Crown of Midnight. I'm finally, slowly reading the series. Although in saying that, I've read this book before, didn't get any further. So we'll see if we get further. But I really liked rereading Throne of Glass, so I'm hopeful. Yep. Definitely hopeful.
Yeah, Air of Fire is my fave of the series. So once you get through that, you can get to my fave.
See, Air of Fire is where I DNF'd the series. So I'm a little concerned about getting to Air of Fire. But I think if I remember correctly, right about the time that I was reading Air of Fire is when Lynette Noni contacted me and asked me to be a critique reader for her Madoran Chronicles series. And so she sent me like a super early, like year in advance copy of Dracora. So obviously I dropped everything and read that. And I just, never picked up Air of Fire again. So I'm hoping that was the reason that I wasn't liking it, because I had this other book that I was desperate to read. And so I just put it down. I'm hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, Air of Fire is also where the series takes a turn and goes into what the series actually is. So.
Yeah, because the first one, wasn't the first book, wasn't it a Fiction Press Cinderella retelling?
Yes, very original thought from Sarah J. Maas was, what if Cinderella went to the ball to kill the king instead of marry him?
Yeah, and so obviously it kind of took a turn. I'm assuming it's going to do the same sort of thing, like because I love the ACOTAR series, and I know the first book of that was a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and then it took off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping there's something. I think I'll like it. I think I'll finish the series and really enjoy it. But yeah,
and then when you get to the last book, there's like 10 point of views and you're switching around everywhere and there's a whole big thing happening and you're like, how did we get here?
Well, I'm just concerned because I never bought the final book and I need to find the same cover, because if I get a new cover, I will be sad.
Yeah. You need to do that like now.
Yeah, I know. I keep looking at them. I think I'm just going to have to bite the bullet, order it online because I want the same cover, damn it.
Mm-hmm. I am reading A Light in the Flame by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I am like 100 pages to go. Probably won't finish it tonight.
I have that much to go. I haven't been able to read for ages, but let's see. We're using the Siri bookmark today.
Oh.
I change bookmarks with every book that I read, and I try to match the bookmark vibe to the vibe of the book, and I felt like this was an accurate one.
Yep, Siri and Alien would have a lot to talk about.
I would think so, yeah.
Okay, so then we have a question from Insta, because I got a grand total of 2 questions from Instagram.
Ooh, how exciting.
Says, how many books are on your TBR? Good silence or bad silence?
A lot. Well, I have in the house, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bookshelves. Yes, 7 bookshelves, and all of them have books on there that I haven't read, because I'm not a separate person. I'm a throw everything on so it looks aesthetically pleasing kind of person. I think at last count, it was definitely over 100, but I keep track of my TBR through Goodreads with a custom shelf that's like my owned books TBR. But I will only include, if there's like a series of books, I'll only include the next book that I'm up to in the series on that list. So I think that list is sitting at like 70 something. But like there's 8 books. Well, I've read 2 out of 8 of these books, and there's only 1 left on the TBR, and we know for well I have like 6 left. So
okay, so you've read 2 out of 4. Have you read Assassin's Blade?
Yes.
Okay, yes, so you've read 3, because you're almost finished with that one.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, it's going to take me a minute, but yeah. But basically, I don't know. I think it's over 100, but I haven't really counted. But I also haven't bought books in a while, so I don't know.
Yeah, fair. I try not to buy as many books these days. I just buy the like anticipated releases, which is like 3 books a year now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I feel like as I'm getting older, my need to buy books immediately at release has just dwindled to 0. So now I'm really trying to make my way through books that I own at the moment and then go from there.
You and literally everyone else on BookTube. That's literally everyone's goal this year.
Yeah. I feel like it's a good goal. We can all come together. We can pump each other up. It'll be fine.
Yeah, because we're so good at keeping each other accountable for goals.
I don't know what you could be referring to.
Okay, so then we're going to go into some BookTube things. So let's go back to the origin of your BookTube channel. When did you start? Why did you start? What was all of that like?
Oh, okay. So when I first started YouTube, it wasn't actually a dedicated BookTube channel. I called my channel just a little bit random because I wanted the freedom to do whatever I wanted to on the channel. I didn't want to be locked into something. And I, at the time, didn't know BookTube even existed. So I started because a friend of mine from high school had started posting videos. I think she was mostly posting makeup videos, which is not my thing. But I was inspired by that. So I got on to YouTube and I started posting things. I started out doing the most random stuff. And then I found, I don't know how it came up, but it came up on one of my like recommended videos. And it was actually, I think this was back in 2015, because it was right around the time that Passenger by Alexandra Bracken came out. And I found a video that was recommended to me from, funnily enough, it was Sasha from a Book Utopia about Passenger. And I watched that video and was like, oh, people talk about books on YouTube. What is this? And then from there, I sort of spiraled into a little bit of a hole watching as many BookTube videos as I could. And I've always loved reading. So I decided to, at the time I was doing book videos and other stuff. And then eventually it just kind of evolved into just a BookTube channel. It's devolved from that again now, but for a while, I think it was a good solid 5 years while I was at uni, that it was mostly just, books. So,
yeah. Sasha, one of the OGs.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget that video because, it was the first one that I ever found. And she was, and still is, my favorite booktuber. I still go back and watch some of her older videos all the time. It's just funny to me how everyone that I started out watching has, obviously they all started in high school, they've all grown up now and they've moved on into the next phase of their lives. And it's just really interesting to see that, everyone I used to watch have all moved on. And it's weird. It's a weird feeling.
Yeah, it is, because we've been like internet people for so long now that it's all very much evolved. And like when we started BookTube, there wasn't BookTok. Bookstagram wasn't really a thing. So
No, and I feel so out of the loop now. I mean, I don't post much on YouTube anymore. I don't have a lot of time. I want to, but I just don't have the time. So I feel even more out of it now because I couldn't tell you, apart from like the big ones, because you see them on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot. Like I knew when the new Cassandra Clare book was coming out. I knew when that the Lee Bardugo book was coming out, Hellbent, I think. But apart from that, like anything, I used to know when all the books were coming out, and now I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, there's also like the book industry itself is also vastly different to when we started as well, because
definitely
we would have started not long after like the boom of YA really, and then now it's this thing.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think, well, if I started, I want to say I think I transitioned fully into my BookTube channel around 2016, because I think it was around about the time that I posted my Raelia review and got contacted by Lynette for the critique reading. That was, I think it was at that stage that I decided to go, we'll make this a BookTube channel. But by that point, by that point, YouTube was so saturated with so many amazing creators and booktubers that it was very difficult to sort of break into anything and grow the way that those first booktubers did, because they were paving the way.
So. Do you also feel the impact of being an Australian booktuber? Because a lot of those big booktubers were American, and that we have maybe one or two big Aussies.
Yeah, I definitely do feel like that, because especially before obviously everything happened and we, you had your BEA and Book
Expo, or that's
Book Expo,
America.
Yeah, so they were the two. You would know what I was talking about. Obviously, they were all easily able to get there. They were able to do meetups, and I feel like it was easier for them to reach out and partner with publishers than it is here. Partnering with publishers in Australia was a lot harder than I think some of the content creators in America were able. It was a lot easier for them to get arcs and whatnot, whereas over here it was a bit more of a struggle.
Yeah, the Australian publishing industry is also an interesting one, because they just they don't get a lot, they don't get as much freedom or money as the American
Yeah,
Like,
definitely. I mean, how many books do we have, even from Australian authors, that are published overseas and then are sort of just distributed here by other publishers? So they're not actually published in Australia, they're, say, published in the UK, but then the UK publisher is allowing someone in Australia to publish the book, but they don't really have anything to do with it. It's interesting. It's very interesting. It's a very small thing being over here, but I feel like that's most things living in Australia.
yeah, just us at the bottom of the world, separated from everyone except New Zealand.
I mean, it's great sometimes, and sometimes it's really not.
It's great in the sense that I saw this TikTok the other day that said if there was a nuclear apocalypse, Australians and Kiwis would have the best chance of surviving. So,
Oh, definitely. Absolutely.
yeah, so
Because
the apocalypse
anything
comes.
like that is going to happen. Anything like that is going to originate in Asia, Europe, or North America. Like, that's where it's going to start. And yeah, we definitely have the best chance of it not reaching us quite as harshly.
Yeah, so that's a plus. So we're good on the apocalypse, not so good on the books.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Lola Jones. Hi, Lola. And then she also said, yep, Australians are the Povo's second cousin.
Literally perfect way to describe us.
In the way that we'd probably have to explain what Povo means to the Americans anyway.
Literally. Oh, it's great, isn't it?
Also, we are not sponsored by Macca's. We just do get Macca's.
If it happens in Asia, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if it happened in Asia, yeah, that would be the one we'd have the most struggle with. But apart from that, well, I think currently our biggest threat is like the border of Asia and Europe. So,
yeah. But. Anyway, books. So we have a couple of minutes before we go into our first sprint. So I had a question around BookTube and if you found it if it affected your reading at all. So did you read more? Did you read less? Did you read certain books? That type
I don't think BookTube had anything to do with me reading more. I read a lot more when I was on BookTube because my circumstances were different. I was at uni. I went to a uni that was an hour bus ride away. So I spent 2 hours on a bus every day reading. And I don't have that kind of time anymore. So I think time-wise, BookTube didn't affect anything. But I did read... I definitely tried to read the more like popular books rather than... I never used to just go... Well, when I was younger, I used to just go into a bookshop, read the back of books, pick one at random and read it. Whereas when I was on BookTube consistently, I was actively searching out the most popular books because I wanted to be part of the conversation. I would say that would be the biggest way that BookTube impacted the way that I read.
You can keep talking and trying to figure out the timer.
Yeah, that's right. Honestly, I feel like that's one of the reasons why I ended up... I mean, I'd heard... Well, the only way I'd heard of Sarah J. Maas was I went to Supernova and she was there. I had no idea who she was. Literally no idea. And her lines were always so long. And I was like, who is this person? I have no idea what books she writes. Ended up picked up Akatar, not Thrown a Glass, because Akatar sounded better. And I still believe that. I still believe it is her better series. I'm only 2 books into this one, but I still believe that's her better series. But yeah, I had no idea who she was. But had I been on BookTube before that, I absolutely would have known. Like, there was no doubt in my mind that I would have known who she was had I been there before. But I also liked BookTube encouraged me to try books that I never would have tried before. I feel like I definitely tried a lot that I wouldn't have expected. A lot of being a part of different readathons and participating in stuff like that meant I was reading books that I never would have chosen to pick up. And sometimes that surprised me in a really good way. Sometimes it was not a good time. But sometimes it was really surprising, and I would end up reading a book that I just fell in love with and never would have read if it weren't for BookTube.
Yeah, love that. So we have a couple of questions. I have had the potato cakes, though, however, they are no longer selling them at the Macca's near me anymore. So
I did not try them.
they were all right. Like, they weren't the best potato cakes ever, but they weren't bad.
I'm not really a potato cake person, so I didn't really want to go with the Macca's one because I didn't expect great things.
And then I'm assuming that is for Sarah J. Maas.
I'd assume so. It's not just that I met her, because I waited until the end of the second day to go up to her. So I signed her book, because obviously she has her copy of Throne of Glass that she asks people to sign. So I signed her book, and we ended up talking for like a good 5-10 minutes, which was amazing. I had absolutely no idea who she was, but it sounded amazing. And then I finally sat down and read ACOTAR and was like, wow, really glad I met this author. Like, she sounds awesome.
Yeah, also, I was also at that same convention the same weekend. Didn't know Jenna at that point. We were in the same room.
I feel like that happened a lot.
The thing is how we grew up 15 minutes away from each other.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I was volunteering that convention, so I didn't spend a lot of time with her because I needed to get back to work. But I did also meet her, and we spoke about Benedict Cumberbatch.
Did you know who she was?
Yeah, I had read Throne of Glass at that time, so I only read the first book.
Okay, yeah, no, I had nothing. Literally nothing. No idea. None at all.
And then, hello, good morning to you, and evening for us. It is 7:22 for me, and then 6:52 for Jenna.
Yeah.
It's not on an even thing.
No. You can do maths better than me. You got this.
Yeah, that half-hour time zone that I don't think anywhere else in the world has.
I think we might be the only ones that do the half-hour time zone, because Australia wanted to be different.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, it worked. I tried to use the pretty one with life at spaces, but it wouldn't let me change the time or anything. Just it wouldn't let me change anything. So we have this one.
This one's still cute. We'll take it.
I thought you were frozen for a second because you weren't moving and you were silent.
No. Just contemplating what words are. Contemplating turning on a light. All of those fun things. I do think I'll need a light. I was hoping that the sun wouldn't go down too quickly, but it's going down.
I've still got an hour before it sets.
I know. I got my little ring light and everything. I'm sure it'll be fine. I can mostly see.
Okay, so we're going to go into our first sprint now. When we come back, we will be talking about Twitch and video games. I need to get sound effects, so it's actually like a talk show.
Like a talk show, like the fake audience clapping. Yay!
Yeah. We're going into an ad break.
Absolutely.
Okay, see everyone soon. Hello.
Welcome back.
How did you enjoy what you read?
It was good. Yeah, I do like the book. I like being back in the fantasy. But I was also joined by a kitten whose sole purpose in life is to cause as much destruction as possible. So, oh, are you leaving? No, she's coming back. There she is.
And a special guest, Penny.
Penny, get off the bookshelf. Can't even, you just see a tail. She's not normally allowed in this room for this exact reason. Oh, can you sit nicely while we talk? She can't, so we'll see.
Yeah. Heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
In the section I read, one of the characters gave another character a neck and shoulder massage.
Oh yeah?
Like, that would just be so nice right now.
Honestly, feels. Don't do it. She's doing it. Okay. Penny.
So we can see the camera just.
Yeah. Yep. Just let her go, I think. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so that segues into our next section, which is about Twitch, which you stream, and then, you know, it's another thing that Penny could come through and interrupt.
Yeah, we kitten wrangle. I have lost it. It's fine. If I just disappear, you know that my cat has somehow managed to turn off my computer.
Cool.
She's done it once before. I'm sure she can do it again.
Okay, so Twitch.
Yes.
First question, why'd you start it? And then like the transition from BookTube being like your main online identity to Twitch being on your main online identity. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, when I started uni, I met people who like were massively into video games. Like I've always, can you just sit nicely, please? I've always liked video games, but I've never been what I would consider like a massive gamer. And then The Witcher TV show came out and I fell in love with the show, as I'm sure you know. And right after it came out, PlayStation had the game on sale for like 75% off, and it was a huge game, something I'd never played before. It was an RPG. I never played anything like it, but I bought it because I was obsessed with the show, and I played it like religiously. I played it a lot, and by that point, I had a couple of friends. I had a couple of online friends who I had met through this one person I knew at uni who had all started streaming. So I was enjoying being part of the communities as a viewer. And then I had a couple of streams where I went on to other people's streams, one person in particular, and we would do games. And it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. And I eventually got to the point where I was sort of like, well, I'm going to play these video games regardless. So I could sit and play them on my own, or I could start a Twitch channel and I could play them and make my own community for everyone to really enjoy games together. And I was never going to start until I moved out into my own place. But it was very expensive to buy a house. So it was actually, I ended up streaming at my parents' house for almost 12 months, which was never the plan, but it worked out really well. And I'm very glad that I moved onto Twitch. I think I still love reading, but my passion had changed. And I was definitely more focused on video games. So I just sort of followed that.
Yeah. So what do you think, like, the switch around was about? Like, do you love like the storytelling behind both mediums, because they're both essentially telling stories, just in a different format.
Yeah, definitely. So the sorts of games that I love to play, because like I said, when I was younger, I played, I don't know how much you guys do video games, but when I was younger, I played I played a lot of The Sims. I'm sure everyone knows The Sims. I played a lot of Spyro, the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, a lot of Lego games. And I played quite a bit of Tomb Raider, so Lara Croft. But apart from that, I hadn't really played any like story-based games until I played The Witcher. And The Witcher 3 is so story heavy. I mean, it's got a lot of other stuff with it, but the story behind it was really what was important. And ever since then, I've made the conscious choice to, on my channel, I play games that have really hard-hitting stories. Like I played Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a massive story game, the Kingdom Hearts series, The Last of Us, all those sorts of things that have really strong narratives. But it's nice to be able to play them in a different medium than it is books sometimes.
Yeah. Cool. So you have already answered my next question.
Get off the bookshelf, Penny!
I don't think she's listening. Oh, sorry.
No, she wants Simon. Here she goes. Yep.
Timber.
Okay, well, she can have him for a minute. Keep her entertained.
Okay, so another question from Instagram was, do you play games when you're not streaming? Like, so do you play and not stream it?
I don't have the time, really. That's something that I would like to have the time, but I just don't. Between work, extracurriculars, streaming, and also I have my second YouTube channel where I upload all of the VODs of the streams that I do, and I'm like 13 months behind or something at that point. So yeah, I don't have time really to play a lot of games off stream. I like to, but I honestly just don't have the time. So most of my video game playing happens on stream.
Yeah, that's fair. Full-time jobs, they be a lot.
Yeah, you spend 8 hours. Well, I think my work day, I think, is 7.5 hours, but then it's a half hour to get there, half hour to get back. So that's 8.5 hours of my day has been taken up. And then, you have to do the adult thing. You have to cook dinner, clean up, feed the cat, do cleaning and everything. So by the time you're actually sitting down to do something for yourself, it's already like 7 o'clock at night. And then you've got a couple of hours where you can actually do something. So it's hard to find the time. If I had more time, I would absolutely play more off stream. That is what I would do. But I just don't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So I have dropped Jenna's link to her Twitch channel, and it is in a pinned comment now because Lola asked about it. So everyone go subscribe to her. Watch all the videos. If you have money, like pay the membership thing so Jenna can get paid and then quit her full-time job and have time to play video games all day.
We wish. Hey, don't touch that. Penny, you've already knocked over.
Oh,
one second, please.
That sounded like it broke.
One shot glass. Nah. Okay. Penny said
just a brief interruption.
Oh my God.
Entertaining is one word. I'm not sure Jenna would use that word.
She's already smashed one shot glass. That's why they're all in here now. This is why she's not allowed in this room without supervision.
Yeah,
and normally she didn't smash it. It's fine.
No,
it's all good. It's all good. But entertaining is one word for it.
Yeah. Where are my questions gone? And then going segueing into the money side of and audience side of things, I'm going to say, have you noticed a difference between your BookTube channel and Twitch channel on your audience and like how fast you could start earning and all of that type of thing?
Oh, definitely. I have earned I haven't earned like, oh my God, so much money, but in comparison to YouTube, where I was on YouTube for, I think I'm going on 7 years now, haven't earned a cent. And I have earned definitely 4 figures since I started streaming 2 years ago. So I found streaming to be a lot easier to make money off of. I found streaming to be a lot easier to create a community for, because it's real-time interaction. You know, you're playing a game and someone comes into chat and talks with you, and you are real-time having a conversation with them. So I have loyal viewers who tune into every single stream, who are incredible, and like they're amazing people, and I love that they tune into every stream. But I found it was easier to form a community, and definitely easier to start making money off of Twitch than it was YouTube.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I remember when you said that you like started monetizing already, and I was like, damn, because like I only monetized my YouTube channel in December. So.
Well, it's a lot easier to become an affiliate on Twitch than it is to become monetized on YouTube. You know, on YouTube, you need the 1,000 subscribers, you need the 4,000 watch hours. On Twitch, you need 50 followers. Yeah. You need 50 followers. You need to stream on 12 different days within a month. And there's one other thing that's like you get within like your first stream or something that's super, super simple. So it's very easy to become monetized. And then I don't get paid out from Twitch every month. You have to hit it's a $50 or $50 US threshold. It used to be 100 and they've dropped it now to 50. So yeah, every couple of months I get a payout, because I've only got about 6 subscribers, but by the time we get to those couple of months, it's racked up enough that I get a payout, and it's great. It's like
that's good.
Extra pocket money.
Yeah, at the very least, it'll like pay like your groceries for a week.
Well, really, I mostly use it. I know a lot of Twitch streamers do the same. We all put it back into the channel. Like money that I get from there, I use to buy new video games to play on stream.
Yeah.
So. That's great.
Hello, Kate.
Hi, Kate.
And then Lola has asked about more of the technical type of things.
So you stream directly off of Twitch. You can stream straight from Twitch. You just have to have a separate streaming software, and the two that are most recommended are either OBS or Slobs, which is Streamlabs OBS. I personally use OBS. I find it very easy to do. All you have to do is link your OBS to your Twitch, and then you just hit start stream. And that's honestly one of the things that I like the most about Twitch is it takes a minute to set it all up and get everything ready. But once it's set up all you have to do is change the title and the game category and hit start streaming. That's all you have to do. Whereas for YouTube, I feel like you have to set up your camera, your lighting, get ready, think about what you're going to talk about and all this stuff. When you stream, you're just playing a game and reacting to it. And I find it a lot simpler. So there's definitely that.
Yeah, the like streaming onto YouTube as well, like is a little bit more that goes into it, because there's a lot you have to set up for StreamYard, make sure it goes to the correct channel and stuff. Yeah. Though I've never used YouTube's inbuilt streaming function, because I think you can only have one person at a time on that.
Yeah, I think so. I've never used YouTube's streaming. I know there are quite a few people there's quite a few video game like content creators who do stream on YouTube, because that's where their audience is. You know, if your channel is dedicated to making videos about video games, then obviously you're going to live stream on YouTube, because, you know, YouTube's got the subscriber function, you got super chat, you can still have the Streamlabs donation bar, all that sort of stuff. Whereas I feel like if you don't have the YouTube, if you don't have that inbuilt audience, it is quite easy to build from the ground up on Twitch. Especially because one of the greatest things is you raid people at the end of a stream. So you take your viewers over to someone else. And that was definitely a way of building up a community, because you're going and you're meeting all of these new streamers. And 9 times out of 10, you are going to raid someone who's playing the same game that you're playing. And so you've got that immediately that you can talk about. You know, are you liking the game? How are you enjoying it? What are you up to? All that sort of stuff. So I definitely think it's easier to build a community on Twitch.
Yeah, amazing. And speaking of building from the ground up, what do you recommend when you start?
You can really start with anything. It sort of depends on what your primary platform is that you play your games. So if you're mainly a PC gamer, you just have to have a really strong PC that can handle streaming alongside playing a game. I am a PlayStation girl, so I needed to get a something called an Elgato, which basically is a capture card that will capture the video game that you're playing, and let you record it at the same time. But you really don't need a lot. If you can actually stream directly from a lot of the consoles. I know you can stream directly from the PlayStation. I believe you can stream directly from the Xbox. Not the Switch. You need a capture card for that. But it's quite easy to get started. It took me a couple of months to get everything together. I had to build a computer, because the biggest thing is you do need a PC that is powerful enough to handle streaming, because streaming does take a massive toll on your CPU. So the average computer can't stream. You do have to get one that's quite powerful.
Yeah, cut to my laptop freaking the hell out right now.
Yeah, no, you don't stream from an Apple product.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
Okay, and then quickly before we go to our next reading sprint, audience of this on YouTube and Twitch are totally different. Do you agree?
Totally different. Completely different. I find Twitch people can usually be a lot more chill. Like I said, because it's that real-time interaction, whereas with comments, you're replying to someone who's replied to you the day before, whereas this is like an instant conversation that you're having with a person. So yep, you can use OBS to YouTube. OBS has got some great functionality, definitely. If you're interested in streaming, like, there are plenty of articles out there about it, YouTube videos about how to set it up. It's a lot simpler than I expected. I mean, I'm still learning, but it's a lot simpler than I was expecting.
That's good. Yeah. Cool. So that brings us to the end of our Twitch discussion, and we're going to go into another reading sprint. To stream. And then after this 20 minutes, we will be back to talk about readathons.
Yay.
Okay. See everyone in 20. Hello.
Hello.
You seemed a little engrossed in that at the end there.
Things were happening.
Ooh.
Actually, it's funny because they just mentioned Aylin, who obviously I'm not supposed to know who Aylin is, but like I do because so many of the other books are out now. So it's quite funny to listen to Selena, like to listen to her inner thoughts talking about Aylin, because I'm like, I know who that is now, but I see how people wouldn't have put that together. It's very clever. I like it.
Yeah, I'm always surprised when people read it and they don't know who Aylin is. So I'm like, it's like one of the most popular series out there.
What do you mean? But I get it. Like when the books were first coming out, yeah, there's no reason why you would suspect it. But knowing like how many books, and I know because even the backs of the books literally changed to Aylin. So yeah, having like because that was the first. I think that's the first time I've seen Aylin's name mentioned, and yes, Selena's reaction was literally just like, "Say what? I'm sorry." So that was really quite funny for me to be like, "Oh, I see."
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, where I'm reading, like I'm very close to the end. And where I hate this backwards thing. Everything's going a bit too well for there to still be pages remaining.
Oh, okay. I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's always stressful. You're like,
Yeah,
this is gonna go bad real quick.
Yeah, and this is book 2 of, I don't know how many books are going to be in the series, 3 or 4. So
I'm going to be. Is the series not finished?
So this is the prequel series to From Blood and Ash. From Blood and Ash currently has 4 books, and there's going to be 6 or 7 of them.
Okay.
That's not including. There's going to be a version of the first book from the male's point of view coming out as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like reading series when they're finished. I like being done.
Yeah. Okay. So, speaking of reading, readathons.
Nice segue. We like.
Yeah. So we are both hosts of the Because We Can readathon. So everything that I ask you, I probably know the answers to.
Yeah.
But we can talk for the people. So, Because We Can, speak a bit about the origins of that, because you were the instigator and then you came to me and Kat.
Yeah. So I had been participating in the biannual bibliothon for a couple of years, which was a readathon that was run twice a year by a bunch of booktubers. I think most of them were in America, a couple of them were in Australia. And I loved their readathons. They were great. They had great reading challenges, and they had video challenges, which was something that I hadn't seen a lot of in readathons, and it forced me to be creative, to get out of my comfort zone, to do something different on YouTube. And they announced that they were ending the readathon because once again, they'd all moved on to another chapter in their lives. They didn't have time to run the readathons anymore. And I, at the time when they announced that, I was quite disappointed because I loved making these videos and whatnot. And I sort of started to think, I was like, okay, well, what if like I got some people together and what if we created our own version of a readathon that had creative challenges and reading challenges? And I reached out to you and to Kat from Brews and Reviews because both of you also participated in, I think, I know Kat definitely did participate in the biannual bibliothon. And I just knew that you would both throw yourself into it. Well, I think you had done the Book Vengers video, which you'd asked me to be a part of, which was so much fun. So I knew that, you and Kat would both be really into creating a readathon that still had those creative challenges. And I think that's definitely where my thought process was coming up with Because We Can, which I didn't name, by the way. That was not me that came up with that name at all. I had no idea what to call it. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. I was pretty much in immediately. I was like, I miss the biannual bibliothon already, and also the BookTube-a-thon, which became the Reading Rush, also was one that had video challenges, and they were both. I think Reading Rush had maybe one that overlapped with us, and then they stopped.
And then they ended up having to stop as well. So, I mean, I'm so far out of the loop now. I don't know if this is accurate, but I don't know of any other readathons apart from those two big ones, and then us. I guess the Hemisphere Christmas Games incorporate creative challenges now as well. But I just think they're readathons that are just about the reading are amazing, but not everyone wants to sit down, or not everyone can sit down and read 7 books in 1 week. It's just not possible. But people who like to be a bit more creative, who like to be challenged, they need something as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, the creativity that comes from like having to been giving this specific prompt and then being like, okay, what can I make and how to make it unique, because everyone else is going to be making them as well.
Exactly. And that was one of the things that I loved the most about participating in the biannual bibliothon, is not just coming up with and creating my own videos, but getting to see what everybody else created with that same prompt. The girls would announce this prompt and they'd have 20 entries and each one would be so vastly different from the other. And I loved it.
Was so good. Yeah. Quickly, a few comments. Yes, I do have the hardcover. I bought it from Barnes and Noble as well.
That's a price.
Yeah, because when From Blood and Ash first started coming out, you couldn't get the hardcover anywhere else except Barnes and Noble. I don't know if you can now. So now I've just been getting them all from Barnes and Noble. I get a few books at a time to justify the stupid shipping.
Why did I not know Barnes and Noble actually shipped to Australia?
They do. Yeah. It just it costs about as much as a full book costs to ship it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Biannual Bibliothon. Blast from the past.
I missed the Biannual Bibliothon. It was so much fun.
And then the Aurelium readathon is really cool as well. It doesn't have specified like video challenges though, so
is that the
it's the magical readathon.
Yeah, that one. Every time that readathon comes up, I always want to participate, and then I just don't.
Yeah, I got really into it. The first 2 rounds, I created my character, did a makeup look for the TBRs and stuff, and then we got to round 3, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I just even reading. I mean, reading is something that I still love. I mean, my sister reads more than me now, and I just can't. I just don't have the time. But funnily enough, she commutes on a bus to work every day. I have to drive, and that's the big difference. Like, yes, I could listen to an audiobook, but I personally find audiobooks difficult to listen to unless it's like a reread. So they don't really work well for me. Plus, the last thing I want to do at 7:45 in the morning is listen to an audiobook. Like, I need to be listening to some music to actually
hype yourself up.
Yeah, to basically be like, you can do this. You can get through a full day of work. I believe in you. That's how my mornings go.
Yeah. So, that's why the readathon is good as well. So even though I tend to only read like 1 book per readathon, at least I'm determined to finish like that one in the week.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the reasons why when we created the Because We Can readathon, we made it very clear from the beginning that you could stack books as many times as you wanted to, because we all understand how difficult it can be to read just 1 book in a week. So we're always very conscious when we're coming up with those reading challenges. Our big thing is always, okay, how do we come up with 7 reading challenges that can be covered by one book? And that was always our goal with that, is we wanted people to be able to do all 7, but only have to read a single book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are the most low-key 7-day challenge every day readathon that there is. Yeah.
Low key, but like we also have creative challenges. So how low key are we really? Our
last theme was the last minute low key life has been a lot readathon. So
yep. It had been a lot, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like all of us are probably in a slightly better place now, because I feel like on top of everything that happened, we also had like lockdowns, and all of that was just compounding the pressure. So
I think the BWC started in 2020. It started in that first year. And it gave me something to look forward to. It gave me something to be excited about. But the Loki run was really fun because we just got to chill, and it was great.
Yeah. So everyone go subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we can readathon. We have Instagram and Twitter as well.
Yes,
so there will be a secret announcement coming soon.
We're excited for you all to find out what it is.
Yeah, when I get around to editing the video.
It'll be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. Stone of Glass. I want them, but I'm not going to go out and buy them right now because I need to be saving money.
I will not be getting them, and I want this cover for the final book. I have all the rest of them here. You can see Tower of Dawn at the bottom, the blue one. I just never bought the 7th book, because at that point, by the time the 7th book came out, I was already moving away from buying as many books. But I wish I'd bought it, because now I'm stressed.
You should still be able to find it like around. I feel like bookstores and like other stores will still have some stock that they need to get rid of.
No, I have been into so many bookstores. The only thing is, I think QBD Online still has some copies, so I might just have to bite the bullet, pay for the shipping. It's worth it to get the same cover.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Abby never did the bibliothon. I feel like, well, Abby is a few years younger than us, so it might have been a little bit before her time.
Yeah, I feel like Abby joined BookTube right when it ended. I think.
Yeah. Audiobooks, I mean, that makes sense for you, Kate. Kate has hearing aids, so, but I mean, like, I don't have hearing aids and I can't follow along with them unless I'm reading as well.
Although, funnily enough, I listened to a couple of audiobooks at work and I followed along with them, no problem. I don't know.
Because you were at work.
I think it depends on the book. I definitely think it depends on the book.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Updating. Like, I don't think I've ever joined a readathon where I've updated like a point system or something. Kate has never joined a readathon. Well, excuse you, Kate, for never joining the Because We Can readathon.
It's okay. Emily, who's been in multiple BWC videos, has never joined the BWC readathon. So it's the same feel.
Abby, love the low-key round.
It's so good.
Good question, Lola.
We have no idea. We do not know. Joe and Kmart, I have tried my locals, and that, funnily enough, my local Big W's and Kmart's, they don't have any Throne of Glass books. They've only got her ACOTAR series, which I find quite interesting.
Kingdom of Ash, I'm assuming.
The yellow one.
It's the 1,000-page one.
Yeah, I think it's Kingdom of Ash, and I know it's yellow because the hardcover is yellow.
Yeah.
Joined in 2015, and you never joined the biannual bibliothon? What?
Yeah.
You joined YouTube the same time as me.
Abby loves audiobooks.
I wish I liked audiobooks. It's like smart or easy to follow. Yeah, but they're awkward to listen to in public.
I couldn't listen to it. Like, I've heard like snippets of like smutty audiobooks on like TikTok. Like, I can read smut, no problem. It's great like that. I mean, in those last 2 sprints, I've read 2 smut scenes. But listening to it, no.
Yeah, listening to it's a whole different ballgame. Hard ones need to read and listen to sentence. That's what I can't do. I can't read and listen to something at the same time, because even if you speed up the voices, my brain can't compute 2 things at once, even though they're actually the same thing. Tut. I can't believe you never did the biannual bibliothon. What were you doing? I missed Kingdom of Ash too. See what I mean? I feel like if you weren't up to date with the Throne of Glass series by the time Kingdom of Ash came out, you just never bought the final book because you never you never got to that point. And now I didn't realize there were new covers coming out until I was looking on like QED to get Kingdom of Ash. And then I was like, oh, what is this?
They've been announced for like at least 6 months, and Sarah's posted about it multiple times, and people have discussed whether they liked it or not.
I think you underestimate how far outside of the book community I now am. I am so far away that I had absolutely no idea that she had new. It doesn't surprise me that she ended up getting new covers for them, because I know that these are very YA covers, and I know she's trying to move her whole.
They're all classified as adult now.
Yeah, I knew that much. That much I did know. Even though I feel like I don't know what the later ones are, but these first few definitely feel YA to me.
Yeah, so the first few are YA because Selena is so young. She's like 17 in Throne of Glass. I think she turned 18.
Well, she's still 17 in this book, so she'll have to turn 18 at some point.
Yeah. The whole series happens over a remarkably short amount of time. Yeah, by like it gets a little more violent and stuff in books 3 and 4. And then book 5 is where it's like, okay. Like,
well, yeah, because I remember I was like heavily in the BookTube community around the time I think the Empire of Storms came out. I think that's when I was like starting in the community. And I remember everybody freaking out about Empire of Storms because it was such a tonal shift from the previous books. So I remember that. I remember the freak out. And then I remember everyone just losing it when she announced that Tower of Dawn was a full book and was coming out between Empire of Storms and Kingdom of Ash, so everyone had to wait longer and everybody hated Kale, and I'm just over here like, I like him, I can't wait to read his book.
Yeah, ending of Empire of Storms it's a lot. It won't be as much for you because you can just immediately continue on, but for those of us who had to wait 2 years,
I mean, you had a book in between.
But Aylin is not in that book.
I like Kale. I think I'm going to be okay reading his book. However, I see where you're coming from. Having a massive cliffhanger and then being like, lol, funny story. You got to read another book first. I would have been like, what do you mean?
So I also like Tower of Dawn. I'm not a Kale fan, but he has like most of his character development happens in Tower of Dawn. But yeah, Tower of Dawn takes place at the same time as Empire of Storms.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, so it's kind of a similar situation with Game of Thrones where George R.R. Martin his books ended up being split. So like one book follows a certain set of characters and then the next book followed this different set of characters, but at the same time, because the story just got too big. Similar. I feel like, I don't know.
And then all of their point of views are in one book in Kingdom of Ash.
That's a lot to...
It's a lot.
Because already in this book, I've got 3 point of views because I've got Selena, Dorian, and Kale. And I'm in the second proper book.
Yeah, so in Kingdom of Ash, you have Aelin, Dorian, Kale, Rowan.
Yeah, I never met Rowan, but I know about him.
You will.
Do I have the witch, Marin?
Manon.
Manon, her, yeah.
Manon, Alid, Adian. I can't remember if Lysandra has a point of view. I feel like she does.
Oh, yeah, I recognize that.
I feel like there's a couple more that I'm missing.
So,
Nezrin has a point of view. Irene might as well.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of characters there's quite a few characters that I never met, but everybody spoke about it enough on BookTube that I know roughly who those characters are. But then there were a bunch of names you just said that I'm like, I have no idea who these people are.
Yeah, so it's like someone like Irene. Like you've met Irene before because she's in Assassin's Blade, but then there's a couple more that you'll meet soon. So when Selena is in the tavern and then she saves a girl from the guys in the alleyway.
Oh,
that's Irene is the girl.
Oh,
it's spelled with a Y. So I don't know if it's Urine, but I feel like it's supposed to be Irene.
Okay, I know who you're talking about. I liked her. I liked her a lot. I know who you're talking about now. Okay, wow. So because when did Assassin's Blade come out? I know it came out.
I think it was released around Crown of Midnight, Era of Fire.
Well, the short stories were released in the 5 parts though first, weren't they? They were each released individually and then in the binder.
I don't remember. By the time I started reading the series, it was already in the binder.
Okay. I think they came out individually, but yeah, that would make sense to go back. To be fair, it's a great way to introduce characters like her.
Everyone comes back. No one is there by mistake.
Yeah. I like that. I think it's clever. It makes me keen to read her other series. I'm waiting until the 3rd Crescent City book comes out before I bother trying those. Because everyone seems to be really upset about the long wait times between books, and I don't want to have to be one of those people.
I forgive her for this wait time because she went on maternity leave, so.
I'm not saying that it's...
Yeah.
I'm not saying she's got a good excuse, not got a good excuse. I'm just saying I don't want to be one of those people. And isn't there supposed to be a World of Throne of Glass book coming that's been coming for 5 years?
Lynette Noni was supposed to write it, and
she wrote some of it. I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Because Lynette literally still has a thing on her website that's like, don't ask me about World of Throne of Glass, direct that to Sarah's publishers.
Yeah.
So
who knows? Yeah.
I'm just going to have to buy it online soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Abby loved Tower of Dawn.
I'm excited for Tower of Dawn.
Mm-hmm. Kate, I locked myself away because I was sick and you didn't want to get sick because near the end of the book, something major happened and I ran to her door and was like, oh my God, but I didn't go in her room because she didn't want to get sick. That was the good thing about living with a book lover is like this massive bomb got dropped and I was like, oh my God, I have to talk to someone. Wait, Kate.
Wait, I live with someone who reads books.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah, I read Kingdom of Ash in 4 days because I was sick, so I didn't go to work.
If you're gonna get sick around the time that a book, the finale book of your favorite, of one of your favorite series is coming out. That's a good time to get sick.
Yeah, It was there because you also wouldn't come into my room. You like stood at the door and was like, "Bye, I'm going to work."
I kind of love that. That's hilarious. Oh dear.
Yeah. Yeah. Kale, his name is actually spelled Chaol, which should be Chael, but Kale.
I'm positive it's Kale. I
It's
assume it
Kale.
is. It is
It's
Kale.
Kale.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it should be pronounced that way.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened to me. I read the first 3 because everyone was shocked that I hadn't read the Throne of Glass series. There's literally a video on my YouTube channel which I loved making. It was called My Throne of Glass Journey, and it was me being like, I'm sorry I haven't read the books. I promise I'll start. But then, yeah. So we can all blame Lynette Noni for me not having finished the Throne of Glass series at this point.
Mhm.
Truly, it's her fault.
Yeah. And then Kate remembers now. Mhm.
Yay for memories.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I still haven't read Court of Silver Flame, but I feel like, weren't you saying these ones are more like standalone-ish because they follow different couples?
Yeah.
So I should actually be okay to read this one and not have to care about a long wait.
Yeah, so it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. Like, it ends in a way that you can like, okay, it's like these threads can be picked up in another book,
And
but
they
it's not
probably
a
will be,
cliffhanger.
because I assume those characters are still going to show up in future books. Like, I assume Feyre and Rhysand showed up in this book. They just weren't the forefront of it.
Yeah, they were in it. Yeah, so basically,
Because this one was Nesta's book, wasn't it?
yeah, Nesta and Cassian, they both get a point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So reading Sarah J. Maas's books, all 3 series in publication order, is like the best way to read things. But you can pretty much finish all of Throne of Glass, and you'll be fine. But basically, once you get to the end of Throne of Glass, you should start reading everything in publication order.
Okay, I've read ACOTAR through Court of Frost and Starlight. I've read those 4. And now obviously I'm binging the Throne of Glass series, and then I'll have Silver Flames, Blood and Earth and
House of Earth and Blood. Earth and Blood, House of Earth and Blood, House of Sky and Breath.
Sky and Breath, and then
whatever comes after.
That one's 3. Well, she's said it's going to be 3, hasn't she?
Yeah, 3. She said it can also end up being like the ACOTAR series where she has like different books following.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so basically once you finish Kingdom of Ash, go into publication order of how everything else has been published. So you will end up, like, I think you'll end up reading House of Earth and Blood, then Court of Silver Flames, then House of Sky and Breath. And then the next one is supposed to be Prison City 3, not an ACOTAR book.
Is there a reason for that, or it just works?
There's a reason.
Is this going to be a Cassandra Clare thing where you can't skip ahead? You have to read everything in the order that she brings them out, or else you spoil yourself for things like I did when I read City of Heavenly Fire without having read the Clockwork series.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure you can understand enough, but to get the most out of it, you need to.
Because I remember not knowing that, because I'd read City of Bones, and I found out about like Heavenly Fire and everything, and I found out about it later, so I had to read Fallen Angel and Lost City, and then Heavenly Fire was coming out, and I read it, and I started, and my friends were like, you've read the Clockwork series, right? And I was like, no. Do I need to? Why can't I hear myself?
Oh, yeah. I can hear you.
Well, I can hear myself talking. That's a great time. Anyway, I'll just hear myself. So I spoiled myself for like the end of Clockwork Princess. Not mad about it. Mad about how that book ended. So I went back and read and read those. And then I've read the 2 Malik books that came out because I was way more interested in Malik than everything else. But I spoiled myself big time by reading those without having read anything else. So when I finally do start reading like Dark Artifices and whatnot, I'm sort of like, well, I have to also read the Chain of whatever series in between.
Lost Hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have to read those in between. So I stop accidentally spoiling myself for her books.
Yeah. So it has to be done. It's like the Star Wars movies. You should watch them in release order.
It's fine though, because aren't there only 3 more books coming out? Isn't there just Wicked Powers to go?
So last I
and
heard,
the
like
Malik book.
Yeah. So last I heard, she had planned Wicked Powers. This was like a decade ago that we learned about the Wicked Powers, but last I heard, it hadn't actually been picked up by a publishing house.
That surprises me, given I'm surprised that it wouldn't have been picked up. I feel like the Shadowhunter books still have a massive following.
No, it's not as big as it once was, just because
it's definitely not as big, but I feel like it's big enough that people will want an ending to the story. Like, I definitely want to continue with it, and I feel like, especially once Wicked Powers comes out, I'll be more inclined to be like, you know what, yeah, let's find out what happened to all these people. But nothing will beat the Mortal Instruments for me, so.
Yeah, I feel like Dark Artifices is my favorite just in terms of storytelling and that, but Mortal Instruments is the one I'm most emotionally attached with because it's the one I started reading when I was like 13 and stuff.
Yeah, Mortal Instruments just, and I feel like it was willing to go places that other ones weren't. Like, it had that massive taboo thing with Clary and Jace that obviously we didn't get resolved until the 3rd book. So you spent an entire book being like, oh, the couple that I want together, I shouldn't. And then it paid off, and it was really a fun time. But I know a lot of people think that she's taken it too far, and I'm like, I don't know. If you've got enough stories in that world and people will keep buying your books to read stories in that world, then keep writing them. Also, you should always write for yourself anyway. So, like, if she wants to know how the story ends, write the damn books.
Yeah, get that bag, Cassie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hi, Zoe.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, stand by Elaine.
That was the youngest sister, yeah?
Middle sister. Feyre is the youngest. Yeah, she doesn't act like a younger sister, but she's the youngest.
Okay, it's been a minute since I've read the ACOTAR series.
Yeah, I just want Elaine to get interesting. Because she hasn't done a lot. She's just kind of been there, waiting on the sidelines.
I'm sure she'll get her moment.
Yeah, and then we'll find out what love interest she ends up with.
Wasn't it Lucian?
So that's her mate. She doesn't like that she's mated to him. But there's also a theory that they might not actually be mates and that Lucian is covering up for someone. So it's a whole thing that we don't know anything about.
Cool. We love that.
Yeah. I'm guessing this is for Crescent City. I reckon we all guessed Book 2's title long before. There's actually a Because We Can Readathon video where I wrote House of Sky and Breath. That's what we think it's going to be called, right? And then that was before we had gotten the announcement. So I reckon Book 3 is going to be House of Flame and Shadow, because it's the more interesting of the 2 that are left, just the name. But I also saw another theory. Someone was like, House of Many Waters could be Tharion's book if she ends up going the path where side characters get their own books.
I'm very confused by all of that, but okay. I do remember you all guessing the title of the second book, though, because I remember when she finally announced it, everyone was like, oh, there it is!
Yeah, so yeah, basically the two that are left are House of Many Waters and House of Flame and Shadow. Flame and Shadow follows the pattern, Many Waters doesn't.
Flame and Shadow does sound so much cooler, especially if she is going to do like a 3-part story for, who is it, Bryson someone?
Yeah, Bryson Hunt.
Bryson Hunt, yeah. I feel like Flame and Shadow sounds like a finale book. You know, like it definitely sounds more finale-esque than Many Waters does.
And it makes more sense for where the story is going than Many Waters does.
Yeah.
I also hate Tharian's point of view in the books as it is. I'm just like, I don't care about him. Get back to our other characters.
Oh, I hate that when there's a character that you just can't stand, but you have to read from their point of view. And it's like, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah. So, like, if he gets his own book later, though, like, I still will read it, and I'll be like,
yeah.
Why?
But you'll be bitter the entire time.
Yeah. Did the same thing with the Model Industry books. Read them all first before the Clockwork series.
It was before BookTube, and it was before BookTube, before I was on, you know, Instagram, any of that sort of stuff. So I had no idea. I mean, it was literally when I didn't even know that books 4, 5, and 6 of the Mortal Instruments had come out. It wasn't until Heavenly Fire was very close. It was like a month out from release that I found out about it and went, oh, well, I better read books 4 and 5. And then I knew about the Clockwork series, and I remember going, oh, well, that's a prequel. I don't need to read that because that's not going to have any bearing on the story whatsoever.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be a thing. I feel like it needs to be on the back of the book because people won't open the book saying, you need to have read these ones before you read this one.
Yeah. It was surprising for me how much. Well, even Heavenly Fire has the kids from Dark Artificers in it, doesn't it? So even that, I was like, you can't just pick up the Dark Artificers books and go for it. You have to have read Heavenly Fire because you have to have known where they started, because their story in the first Dark Artificers book must start roughly must feel like it starts in the middle because you already know so much about them.
Yeah, and Clary, Jason, all of them do also show up in the Dark Artificers. So if you hadn't read their books, you're like, who are these random 20-somethings showing up?
Exactly. I mean, even in the Malik books that I read the first one, and then I loved the first one. And then the second one finally came out, and I remember reading it being like, oh, everybody's here. And they're all very different than the last time that I saw them. And I was very confused the entire time. And the whole, like, Alec and Magnus having a kid thing. I was like, that's different. Where did this child come from? I feel like I missed a lot.
Yeah, you need to read them in publication order so you understand where all these kids come from as well. And
yeah, because there was just all of a sudden this toddler, and I was like,
and it also includes all of the short story collections. You have to read those in the right order as well. And I think it's Ghosts of Shadow Market. The first, I think there's 8 in there. The first 6 you need to read before one of the books, but the last 2 you should read after. And it's
I still haven't I literally haven't read the Magnus Bane bind up, and I definitely haven't read the one about Simon, the Shadowhunters Academy one. And I feel like the Shadow Market one, I was like, I got nothing.
Yeah, the Simon one is good to read before the Dark Artificers, because Simon also shows up in there, and then you're like, how did Simon get from?
I'll tell you what, no. The Shadowhunter Academy short stories would have been really good to read before the second Malik book, because Simon shows up in that as a Shadowhunter, and I remember just sitting there being like, I missed something.
Yeah, and he also ends up choosing his Shadowhunter name. And if you hadn't read any of the other books, it wouldn't make sense. But then if you had read like the books set in the past, you'd be like, oh, I recognize that name. But then if you had read his short stories, you're like, oh, I understand why he chose that name and why it's important.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the world that she's built and the way that she's built it. But oh my God, trying to keep up with it is very stressful. But I love it. I think it's very clever and a very unique way to build a world. But like you gotta give me a break. You gotta give me something.
That's why I was so glad that I started at the age of 13. It was only 3 books existed at that time. Nothing else was planned. It was the Mortal Instruments trilogy. That was it.
To be fair, that's when I read them as well. And then I just didn't keep it. I own every Shadowhunter book except for I don't own the Shadow Market and I don't own the 3 Last Hours books, but I don't know if I don't really want to read them because I didn't like the Clockwork series because I hated Tessa and Will. I hated them.
So Tessa and Will only show up briefly in the Last Hours because they're the parents of who we're reading about.
But I don't feel like I'll like their kids.
So Last Hours is probably my least favorite of the series so far.
Yeah.
I really like Cordelia, who she's a Carstairs.
Oh, I did hear great things about Cordelia.
Yeah, and then I also like Lucy. She is a Herondale.
Okay.
The boys, I know people get really protective of them, but I can take or leave any of them.
I really disliked the ending of Clockwork Princess because I feel like it was a massive cheat. I feel like it was a real cop-out.
Yeah,
you can't have 3 books about a love triangle and then make a cop out of an ending where she gets both of them.
Yeah,
you just can't do it.
Like,
bothered me.
Okay, if anybody doesn't want any sort of spoilers, tune out for the next couple of minutes. But basically, Tessa, as we see her growing up, she has a family with Will.
Yeah.
She has her kids. She outlives all of them.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, that was such an emotional thing. I don't know if I could do that again.
Oh, hey, Jem.
And she's doing it again.
I know. I'm like, I just can't. It bothered me the entire time I was reading it because obviously I knew the ending because I'd read Heavenly Fire, so I knew what was going to happen. So the entire time I was reading it, I was just getting more and more angry. I was like, ugh. And I think that contributed to me disliking it. Plus, Tessa was literally a cardboard cutout of Clary, so I was not a fan of her character at all.
Yeah, I feel like you would like The Last Hours more than the Clockwork series.
Okay. Like I said, I want to read them. I want to get back into the Shadow world. I feel like I need to tackle the Throne of Glass series first. I feel like there's so many books. I feel like you'd probably understand this as well. Even when you're in BookTube, when you step back, there are too many books out there. And for me, when I started BookTube, I found out about all of these books that had come out that I'd never heard of, that I went, I want to read all of those. And so your TBR just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So I know way more about backlog books than I do about new books that are coming out. I couldn't tell you a thing about a new book coming out this year. I don't think I could tell you a single book. Yes, that one.
This one came out. I haven't read it yet.
Because that one only came out, like 2 days ago? Yesterday? Today?
No, it was like 2 weeks now.
Oh, okay.
We're halfway through February.
Shush. I won't talk about it.
But this one is cool because you go like this, and then you go like this.
Oh, pretty.
Yeah. And I think there's pictures throughout it as well because I can see lines on the side of the book.
I like that. I just miss when books excited me, and I don't feel like new releases do that quite so much because I feel like so many I feel like TikTok and social media and the promoting that happens on social media has really taken away the joy out of going to a bookstore for me. I don't know that there's something about the way that books are promoted now that make me not want to read them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like to like survive and not feel the pressure, you need to like pick a few series, and then like those are your series. Those are the ones that you care about online. You read those when they come out and stuff, and then everything else you just kind of have to tune out until you get a chance to read it.
I also just don't know if maybe as I am getting older, maybe my reading tastes are changing and I need to change with them. But I don't know. It's one of those things that's hard to gauge.
Yeah, 100% reading tastes would be changing. Like, I don't read as much YA as I used to anymore, but I have like a whole bunch of backlog YA that I've bought, so I will read it. But I feel like, again, I'm not connecting as much with The Last Hours because they're all like 17 years old.
Yeah, and we are now like 10 years older than that, so it's a lot harder to connect with these kids. Although in saying that, I find that I can enjoy middle grade novels more than I can enjoy YA novels at the moment, because middle grade is not asking me to connect quite so much with those characters. The middle grade novels are, for someone my age to go back and read them, the middle grade novels are asking you to just be a viewer. They're just asking you to watch what this person is doing. They're not asking you to connect with them in the same way that YA books want you to connect with the main character. And it's hard to do so now.
Yeah. And then I'm up to that point in my life where like read a middle grade, I'm like, yeah, that's a cute magical adventure for a kid. But then I read like a YA and I'm like, you're 17, why are you acting like this? Go home, where are your parents?
Exactly. So I struggle. I find, books where, I read Nevermore last year and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic because it was fun. And I found Morrigan wasn't making stupid decisions the way that some 16-year-old protagonists make the worst choices. And you're just sitting there going, you should know better. The 12-year-old shouldn't know better. You should know better. And it's a struggle.
When did we become adults?
I don't know, and I definitely don't like it. It makes me want to try adult fantasies again, because I tried an adult fantasy maybe 5 years ago and I just couldn't get into it. I was still very much in the YA mindset, but I feel like I'm at the age now where I feel like I can follow and really enjoy adult fantasies. I think that's probably where my tastes have gone.
Yeah, that's why I love Sarah J. Maas so much. So a lot of adult fantasy, like I don't care about it. It's like very like hardcore armies going out to battle. I'm like, I don't care about that. But Sarah J. Maas, you get that, but then it's very character based.
Yeah.
You love it because you care about the characters. And Bryce in Crescent City, she's 25. Yeah. I'm like, this girl, I understand. She goes to work because she needs to pay her bills and stuff like that.
Definitely. I also, funnily enough, I also feel like, because I play Dungeons and Dragons now, and I feel like that really ignites my love for like high adult fantasy, because that's what I'm role playing. My character is 21 in D&D, but she's a 21-year-old who steals everything and is more than okay with a little bit of murder. I find adult fantasies are more likely to give me that than a YA fantasy is.
Yeah. YA, a lot of them still have to abide by like morals because they're like, their target audience is teenagers. So you want teenagers to grow up well. Adult fantasy goes out the window. Even like stuff like Jennifer L. Armentrout stuff. The main character, she's 19. So it's on like that new adult cusp. But she will do the bad thing. Like, you know, this is kind of a spoiler, but not too much. So you know how in books there's like the mean, very pretty girl who's like always coming after the love interest.
Tell me that she murders her.
She doesn't, at least not yet, because she's that mean girl is someone who's very powerful and really hard to kill. But she does stab her.
Yes. Yes. My character's motto is literally always murder. Like she and her partner stole money from an innkeep, and we left, and the companion that we were with came after us and was like, "You need to return the money." And we were like, "No, we don't. We stole it fair and square." And he goes, "Well, guards are going to come after us to get it back." And we both looked at each other and were like, "So we killed them." I don't really see what the issue here is. And I like that. And I want to read more books from the point of view of people who have that mentality. But I basically want to read more books of people who are kind of like Loki, love to cause mischief, out for themselves. But if it really came down to it, they'd probably do the right thing. Those are the sorts of characters that I love.
Yeah. And just for YouTube, because this is monetized, just to be clear, we want to read these in fictional books. We do not condone this in real life. Thank you,
Hell
YouTube.
no. Yeah, hell no. But fiction, give me anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a good time.
Comments.
I feel like we missed
Kate loves Mortal Instruments. Yeah.
Mortal Instruments is the best.
Yeah. Also, I don't think we're going to go into another sprint because we've already gone past. We've talked through when my last sprint was planned.
I liked talking. I feel like it's been a long time since I've sat down and talked about books. So I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, which this is part of the course for us. Our BWC planning sessions will go until midnight if we start at like 8 p.m. and we will only get like one decision done.
Yeah. I'm not even going to defend that. That has happened multiple times.
Okay. I was sitting here prepared for the next book to be the third of fourth and dealing with another big ending. Glad it will be a trilogy.
I think that's about Crescent City.
Crescent City? So. Yeah, it's just a trilogy.
How did I know that and you didn't know that? Come on, Abby.
Like me with Midnight Sun and refusing to read it now because I get too annoyed by the sparkly vampire. Honestly, you do not need to read.
I have it there. Hold on. Let's go the other way. I have it sitting here and I bought it with every intention to read it. And then a friend of mine who we watched all the Twilight movies together again when we were in the US, she read it and she kept Snapchatting me and she's like, don't, just don't. I'm like, but I want to, but I also think I will hate it the entire time. But I feel like if you hate read it, you'll enjoy yourself.
Basically, if you don't want to read it, I have a reading blog for it. You can find it on my channel and you can watch me read it.
Amazing.
But basically, I feel like it's a 700-page book. Maybe start at like page 500.
Yeah, I heard that there was a lot. It's basically, from what I heard from other people, it's basically an entire book of Edward just being like, these are the thoughts of every single person in this room right now that you absolutely don't need to know, but why can't I read Bella's mind? And I'm like, that's a lot. That's a lot to take in.
It's pretty much that. And then like it's the exact same plot. So things like the most important part to read is that time period where they've separated at the end trying to keep Bella away from James, and then Edward and stuff go to Phoenix to go get her. That is where it gets crazy, and you need to read that section.
Okay. Oh, there's a very high chance now that I'm gonna go and watch Twilight after this because now it's in my head.
Yeah, it becomes a completely different book, and you're like, if this section had been in the movie, it would change the entire vibe of the movie.
I feel like a lot of things would have changed the entire vibe of the movie.
Yeah. Another tangent, but basically, I was watching Natasha and Christine's podcast.
Oh, they're fucking fangirls one.
Yeah, those fucking fangirls. About their Twilight one, and it made sense so much. Something that Christine said. She said that in the movie they just played everything so serious, but when she had read it before she had seen the movie, she read them more as like sarcastic. Yeah. So when they were doing the lion and the lamb thing, she read it as them saying it sarcastically, and it would be a total shift and make everything different.
A massive tonal shift. I still don't know why they went so serious with it in the films. It just, I don't know. However, in saying that, we owe Twilight a lot of the fiction that we have now. If it weren't for Twilight, a lot of those movie adaptations, a lot of those books never would have come out.
It literally changed the world.
People like to rag on Twilight, and I'm like, you can rag on it all you want, but without it, there's a lot in the book community that we just would never have had.
Yeah, it's insane the change it brought on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Could Sarah J. Maas be like Brandon and pump out 5 books in a year? Maybe outsource so she can just concentrate on the writing. I wish she would release 5 in a year. My bank account wouldn't like that though, because I bought the House of Sky and Breath Tour edition. That's a hardcover. Wasn't cheap.
But it's pretty.
Yeah, it didn't come with a dust jacket, which I was surprised about.
Oh.
Yeah. I also have the paperbacks because I wanted to read it immediately. So nice. I read the paperback and the hardcover just sits there. 2 more books are coming. We don't actually know who they're about yet. So one of them could be the Renesmee Jacob book, but it could be about literally anyone.
Sorry. Sorry. What?
Yeah.
Two more Twilight books. She's not just like writing new books. She's writing two more Twilight books.
They're not Bella and Edward, but they will be set in the world.
Do you know what I would like? I would like a book about Alice and Jasper going and getting the vampires during Breaking Dawn, when they go off and they bring everybody back. I want that book. I want to know how they did that.
What I want is the expansion of the world. So, like, Bella and Edward are the most boring part of the world. If you've read the illustrated guide, there is so much potential in everyone's stories. But also, so like the 2 main things, it's like, so we know about vampires and we know about shapeshifters. They are shapeshifters, not werewolves. Theoretically, the Quilliats could shapeshift into any animal they want. They only know how to shapeshift into a wolf, though. But it is mentioned. I don't think it comes up in the movies, but it does in the book.
It definitely doesn't come up in the movies.
The Volturi, way back when, hunted the children of the moon to near extinction. They are the actual werewolves who turn on full moons. And the words near extinction got me. I'm like, so there's some out there.
There'd definitely be some out there. I feel like because I still remember Alice and Jasper just disappearing during Breaking Dawn and not coming back until like right at the end, and bringing all these vampires with them from other countries. And I remember being like, there's a story. There's something here. There's a story here.
Yeah,
that
Alice
we
and
don't
Jasper have a whole thing. Yeah.
I feel like that would be a cool book.
Yeah, the other one as well, it also kind of has to do with Alice. I'm really annoyed we didn't get Alice's backstory in the movies as well.
Literally.
Alice had visions before she was turned into a vampire. She was having them as a human. And then Jane and Alec from the Volturi, they were burned at the stake for being witches. Witches exist in this world as well. Why aren't we talking about that?
I feel like she could expand upon the world, definitely. Or just write new books.
She did that. The Host, she never finished that series. And then The Chemist, I don't know anyone who's read that.
I don't know anyone who's read The Chemist. I know people who've read The Host. I didn't realize that was meant to be a series. I honestly thought that was just meant to be a one and done.
Yeah, apparently it was supposed to be like a trilogy or something.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah. Even 10 years ago in Australia, we didn't really get too much info on what was coming out. You would only say, yeah.
I agree with that completely.
The way, yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying. The internet has changed the way that books are marketed. Like, books are marketed heavily through TikTok. Now, well, there's that book going around on TikTok. Every time the author comes up on my For You page, it makes me never want to read the book. It's the I want to say it's called Lightlark.
Oh yeah, is that
Lightlark?
it's like an enemies to lovers thing?
I don't know anything about what the book is about, but I know this author is always on my For You page talking about how she said something on TikTok about wanting to write this book, and then all of a sudden she's a New York Times bestseller with a movie deal and a 3-book deal and all of these talk shows. And I'm like, there's a big step between point A and point B here that I know you are not telling us.
I'm sure it's in her other videos.
I don't know. Well, she comes up on a lot, but the way she's marketed her book on TikTok has made me not want to read it. Whereas I think if I had come across it in a bookstore, I think I really would have picked it up and gone, oh, wow, this sounds awesome. But now the way she's been marketing it, and I know she absolutely is marketing it in that way because she's probably just excited. It was her debut novel and it's gone so well, but it's coming across to me as really obnoxious. And I'm having trouble wanting to pick up the book because I'm like, I just don't like your vibe. Whereas when back before TikTok and Instagram and stuff came out, we didn't really know the authors because they didn't have an online presence. There was no way to know what kind of vibe the author had. You just read the back of you saw a cover, thought it looked pretty, read the back of a book and went, yeah, it sounds cool.
Yeah,
it's very different now.
Yeah, some authors have really screwed themselves over with their internet presence.
Whereas some indie authors rely on that internet presence and that's how they're making bank. Whereas if they weren't able to market themselves and their books were just up on Amazon, they just have to cross their fingers and hope. So there's pros and cons with the book marketing today, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think authors just need to go through like media training or something.
Yes, I think that definitely, yeah, they need to come up. Well, even now, I mean, I am an aspiring author. I'm already careful about what I put out on the internet because I know that one day that could come back to bite me. And it's just something like that.
I've been aware of that since I first started getting, like, when I first got social media accounts when I was like 11.
Yep.
Which, you know, technically was illegal because you had to be 14 to get social media accounts.
Who waited till they were 14?
Yeah, but yeah, so everything that I have online, I don't think there's anything up there that I'm like, oh my God, that's terrible. It's more like I look back at 14-year-old me and be like, why did we spell like that?
Yes, yeah, exactly. I'm exactly the same. My outdoor side lamp just turned on. That's a bit freaky. Oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's got to be about the Twilight books.
That's literally her next comment.
Oh yeah, the new Twilight books. Yeah, I don't vibe.
She said she wrote or is writing a Renesmee and Jacob one. I don't know if that's going to be one of them. I don't want that. I want anywhere else in the world.
I feel like Renesmee and Jacob would have been fine if it weren't for the imprint thing. If it was just like a really strong familial bond, would have been great. But the imprinting thing really made me go,
yeah. Still confused about the ending of The Last Hours. I haven't read it yet, so
I haven't read it. I haven't read any of The Last Hours. Just Gem over Will any day. Me too.
Oh,
I did not understand the Will thing. He was so annoying. To be fair, so was Gem, but Gem was less annoying.
Because out of the two, he's like the bad boy. So,
which is really amusing for me not to like him because I'm a bad boy magnet. I love them as all of the. I mean, Shadow and Bone season 2 comes out next month, and I'm like, I could not give a rat's what Mal and Alina are doing. Just give me the Darkling any day.
Yeah. Nikolai's coming up though. So.
Is he a bad boy?
He's like in between. Because like he's a pirate.
Oh.
Well, he says privateer, but
No,
you know.
no, you had me at pirate. Is he really a pirate?
Pretty much like he is known in the world as a pirate, and
Okay,
that's what
all
everyone
right.
calls him. And then everyone's like, "You're a pirate," and he's like, "Privateer" or something.
Okay. I think I'm really gonna like him then. If he's, okay, yeah. All
Yeah,
right,
he's
maybe
like
I'll have
the
two characters that I really like.
yeah Nikolai is like the sarcastic, flirty one.
Wait, it wasn't that Jasper?
That's a different
Jess.
that's a different series. They're just combined in the TV show.
No, I know they're combined in the TV show. Wait, so Nikolai was not, he is actually a Shadow and Bone person, not a Six of Crows person? I thought he was a Six of Crows person. Or am
No,
I thinking of
he shows up in Siege and Storm, and then he's also the main character of the King of Scars duology.
I knew that part. Wait, so who am I thinking of in Six of Crows then?
Who's coming on as a new person?
For this season, yeah. Who am I thinking
Wylan.
of?
Wylan is like your
the
adorable
kid
cinnamon.
12, but is actually like in his 20s?
Yes. He's
Yeah.
the adorable cinnamon roll that accidentally blows things up.
Oh, I'm gonna like him. But he looks 12.
Yeah, it's gonna be so weird.
Just
watching him.
weird. But I'm excited to see season 2. And didn't I hear that they're combining books 2 and 3? So
Yeah,
everything's
books
gonna
2
be
and
like
3.
muddled.
Yeah, they're speed running the rest of the Shadow and Bone books, and then it's not actually going to be the rest of the plot of Six of Crows this season.
It makes me think, because they're speed running the plot of Shadow and Bone and doing it, it makes me think that the producers of the show have no faith in Netflix picking it up for a third season, so they wanted to make sure they could tell a full story.
Yeah, and also Six of Crows is what the majority of people are coming for. So,
I mean, that's literally the reason why they introduced the Six of Crows crew in that first season, because the guy who was doing the adaptation was like, I ain't doing it unless I can play with the Six of Crows characters too.
mm-hmm.
They are more interesting.
Haven't read the last 2 Lost Hours books. Yeah.
I have read none. Good time.
First
For
Gem
Gem
2.
to see. Gem's great, I think. I
Haven't read the whole trilogy.
No one has, apparently.
We're so far behind, I don't know which one.
Abby, what were you talking about? What did you love? We loved it too, I'm sure.
I mean,
no. That would have been no, I got nothing.
It's either something Shadowhunter related or Twilight related.
I feel like it's something that when
we'll get around to it if we hurry up with the comments. Like the Last Hours, not my favorite. Yeah, I feel
like that's most people's vibe.
Mm.
I feel like a lot of people really liked The Dark Artifices. I heard a lot about those books, and I'm hearing less about Last Hours.
Yeah, Emma was the first protagonist who knew this show. Yeah.
Yes, that much I did know, because we met Emma in Heavenly Fire, so she always knew.
Yes, she was so Emma's a Shadowhunter at the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
So basically you have Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices, where you have like that intro character. You're entering the world for the first time. By the time you get to
Dark, Tessa, cardboard cutouts of each other.
By the time you get to Dark Artifices and Last Hours, it's assumed you know the world, so your leads are already Shadowhunters.
Well, I feel like by that point, I feel like at that point, though, those books are so entwined that you couldn't just pick up the Last Hours trilogy and start with that. And that's the only problem with Cassandra Clare's books, is that they're all so entwined with each other. You couldn't just pick up one. You have to start from the beginning, and you have to do it in release order.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only downside.
Yeah.
I need to be immortal. So true. If you add into that all the TV shows, movies, video games that are out there, yeah, I need to live forever and never work or sleep.
Yeah.
And even then, I still wouldn't finish.
Yeah. Yeah, you've put in an investment for books you haven't read yet.
Yeah, you've done better than me.
Oh, interesting. Which books? Because I know from what I see, very hyperfixated on like Colleen Hoover and a lot of the romance books.
My sister and my cousin are obsessed with Coho books, and I'm like, I just don't vibe with them or with her. Not a fan.
I wanted to read some of her books back in the day, but now I'm like, I don't know.
I just don't think I'd like them. I don't think they're my cup of tea, but I also just want to walk away from all of that. Speaking of Colleen Hoover.
That's why I clicked on it.
Stop mainstream marketing smart to teenagers. Yes, it bothers me.
Yeah. I don't think Colleen Hoover's books should be, I don't know too much about them, but I don't think they should be marketed as YA. They should be new adult.
Well, I think new adult should officially be made a shelf in a bookstore.
It really should. It should have been a few years ago.
Yeah, because those books exist now. And the reason those books exist is because everyone who was growing up reading those YA, and I'm talking like the YA books that forged a generation, or these ones, Twilight, all that sort of stuff. We're all at the age now where we're writing books, but we're writing them about characters our age. So we're writing new adult novels. No, we're not writing YA.
Yeah, again, that's why I love Sarah J. Maas. She grew up with us.
Yeah.
Selena started at 16. Her current protagonists are 25.
I love that. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I wonder if she'll keep going up. Like, as we get older, will her characters end up in their 30s and stuff?
I hope so. I really hope so. I think it's a clever way to keep your audience connected to your characters, because eventually your readers, I mean, I don't think they'll ever leave, but at some point it does get hard to read books about people who are so much younger than you.
Yeah. And then everyone just saying they're not going to read Coho.
Yeah, I won't be reading her. My sister wants me. She's always said if I'm going to read any, I should read Verity. But she also told me the entire plot of Verity, and I'm like, well, now I don't need to read it.
Yeah, Zoe's reading tastes have changed. Yeah.
I definitely think my reading tastes have changed between getting older, doing literature at university, going through all of that. I have a real appreciation for different kinds of literature now. And I feel like that's constantly going to change.
Yeah, there was a thought I had the other day. Like growing up, I used to judge like older women who read like the Harlequin romances and stuff like that, and Mills and Boon books. I used to judge them so hard. I'm like, they must be trashy. Why are you reading those and stuff? And now I'm older. I'm like, you know what? I get it.
Yeah,
go for your life.
They look trashy, but if anything, they're not. They're just familiar. They're the same story told 1,000 times over. But if people didn't like that same story, the books wouldn't be popular. People like familiarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I had to buy a couple for my grandmother for Christmas, and yeah, the covers were something.
Yeah. Coho makes sense.
Fair.
And then we're into middle grade. Lola loves Nevermore.
I really enjoyed Nevermore. I've got the second book, I think Wondersmith. And also, Nevermore is getting a musical movie adaptation.
Right up your alley.
Heck yes. I can't wait for little Morrigan Crow to sing about how horrible her life is. I'm so ready.
I haven't read Nevermore, but would the vibes be on the same type of thing as like Matilda?
Yeah, it felt quite, especially knowing it's getting a movie musical, it felt very Matilda the musical vibes for me. Yeah. It was a similar vibe. I feel like the movie version will be a similar vibe to the Matilda the musical movie, which makes me excited.
Yeah.
Literally every time I rewatch Little Mermaid and Ariel's like, Dad, you're the worst, and I just want to go up and be with Pete. And I'm like, what are you doing? You are 16. Stay at home.
Yeah.
Don't leave. Just listen to your father. Yeah.
If my niece went and did something like that, I would be like, what are you doing? No, go home.
Go home. Leave. Yeah. No, it is funny. Yeah, I thought, well, even I used to read the Babysitter's Club books when I was younger, and those girls were they were like 12 and 13, I think, and the younger girls were literally like 11, I'm pretty sure. And I used to think they were so old, they were so responsible. And then the TV show came out and they hired like these 14-year-olds to play these 13-year-olds. And I remember just looking at it and being like, oh, they were not old. They were not as old as I thought they were. They were, wow, who is leaving their children with these children?
Yeah, I'm like, I would not trust my kids with a 14-year-old. That 14-year-old needs a babysitter.
Literally. I mean, I would trust my kids with like a 16, 17-year-old, someone who's in later high school. I would not trust them with a 13, 14-year-old unless it was a family friend or they were related to them. That is it.
Yeah.
I heard good things about the Amari books. All I can do, yeah. I find middle grade is either done really, really well that people who aren't 8 can read it, or they're not, and you have to be younger to be able to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, middle grade is fun. YA is frustrating. Yeah.
I would agree with that. YA novels are just full of overused tropes.
I feel like it's also because we've read so much now. Well, like we can pick up where everyone's inspiration has come from and stuff.
Well, I mean, that's because every story is basically the same. It's just told in a different way, which makes it very difficult to create an original idea.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie Hating Alice and Ashley?
I haven't seen the movie, but I've read the book.
Okay, I haven't read the book. I didn't know there was a book. I've seen the movie. Hopefully this thing happens as well. When they're on camp and they're talking about what to do for their musical, the drama teacher is like, asking for suggestions of what to do. And they're like, Buffy, Harry Potter, and then a few other things. And the teacher was like, these are all just Cinderella. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I don't remember enough about the book. It was a long time ago that I read it, but it was an interesting book.
Yeah, I liked the movie. I couldn't connect with liking the love interest though, because his last name is my brother's last name. And I was like,
no, that's weird.
I can't do that.
That's weird. No, don't love that.
Yeah, and funnily enough, the drama teacher in it was my drama teacher as well. So, like in real life.
No, could not have vibed with that at all.
Yeah, Midnight Sun is like what's the word? Like the way it's put together and written and stuff. Yeah, prose is like much better than her first books.
I feel like she would have grown a lot as a writer, definitely. You have to. I remember when she was never going to publish that book, and then all of a sudden, 10 years later, she was like, Logics, here it is.
I have the first 12 chapters in a Word doc saved on my computer. Yeah. And Lola loved the host. So did Zoe. I own it. I haven't read it.
I haven't read it. Might just watch the film.
And then they've read The Chemist. Can't remember anything about it. Sounds like a fantastic book then.
Or we just read so many books now that it's hard to separate them.
So I think this is about Lightlark.
That's the Lightlark. So she's just always on my For You page, and I don't comment and I don't like it, but I must watch it long enough for it to think that I'm enjoying it. I clearly just have to swipe immediately.
Okay, there's controversies around it like that.
Yes.
Interesting.
I assumed there was controversy because of how she was promoting it and what she was promoting, and it just seems too convenient the way that she apparently got this book deal and this movie deal. It just I don't know, there's something else going on there because of the way she's portraying it on social media makes it look like there's something else going on. And it makes me not want to read it very much so, which is a shame because it sounded like a good book.
Yeah. good idea, Zoe, because once you get it, you cannot leave. You will sit there for hours and just...
I keep meaning to delete delete it off my phone, and I don't.
Mm-hmm. When I'm having my executive dysfunction moments, TikTok. That's what I do.
Yep.
Yeah. Lola doesn't pay attention to authors. If the book sounds interesting and a pretty cover, give the book a chance.
I'm more like that again now. I'm definitely, if I'm buying a book, I'm 9 times out of 10 buying the book because I'm interested in the story, not because I care about the author.
Yeah, I don't seek out like anything about authors. I only learn about these controversies when they get so big. It's like they get put in front of you anyway.
Yeah.
What is your book about?
I don't know. I have like 4 on the go, and none of them are happening right now. It's a great time. So I can't tell you because I've chopped and changed so many times that I don't even know anymore.
At some point, we'll get back to our writing sprints.
We need to, because I want them back.
We'll figure it out after our big secret announcement.
Yes, definitely.
A
medium point? What is that about? I love how everyone else's comments are like, yeah, we can totally vibe with it. And then Abby's comments come on and we're like, what do you mean? Oh, sorry, Abby.
Oh, could it be about Nikolai? Because Lola's talking about Nikolai in the next thing. So I was talking about how Nikolai is in between Mal, and he's not a good boy and he's not a bad boy. So is he a medium boy? Is that it?
Wait, okay. I could probably vibe with a medium boy. I mean, I'm more of a bad boy kind of gal, but I could vibe with a medium. That's so funny.
We're trademarking that now.
Absolutely.
Oh, Nikolai is awesome, and Nikolai and Kaz are her favorite characters.
Kaz is the guy with the cane, yes?
Mm-hmm. He's a bad boy.
Do you know what I'm getting from this conversation? I need to rewatch Shadow and Bone before season 2 comes out, because I don't remember a lot. I remember pancakes. I remember
Do you mean waffles?
I remember a breakfast food. I remember a map. I remember fine, make me your villain. I remember a train. I remember a goat.
Milo? Milo is the name of the goat, not they didn't drink Milo.
And I remember Alina's a sun summoner. I remember Mal's in love with her. I remember her and Mal got on a boat.
Mm-hmm. You got most of it.
I feel like that's the main gist of what happened.
Yeah. Prefer Six of Crows over Shadow and Bone. Haven't watched series. Most people tend to like Six of Crows better. I like Shadow and Bone better. Not anything plot-wise, just because I like Alina and Nikolai and Zoya and the Darkling.
I want to read Shadow. I have the Six of Crows duology, but I don't have Shadow and Bone. I want to read Shadow and Bone first. I know you don't have to, but I would prefer to read it first.
It's better if you do. Like Nina, who is in Six of Crows, she's not like mentioned in Shadow and Bone, but she was like there for all of that, so she lived all of that, and then she left. And then the Six.
So that's different in the show, though, isn't it? Because she's with the big dude already.
So in the show, I think they just shortened the amount of time. So she's still like she's still a Grisha. She used to live at the Little Palace. She did her training there and stuff. Yeah. But then she just left earlier.
Yeah, you know who I meant by the big dude, yeah? Because I don't know his name. Yeah.
Matthias.
Gosh, wow. I feel it's been a while. It's been over a year since the first season came out. I feel like I'm allowed to not remember these things.
Yeah. So this is when she was talking about what she loved.
The Clockwork Angel ending. Clockwork Angel was the first book. I don't remember the ending.
I'm assuming she means Clockwork Princess.
Okay. Well, I really hated the Clockwork Princess ending.
I didn't hate the ending. I was just like, why did we do this?
I felt like I'd wasted all of that time reading these 3 books.
Mm.
It bothered me.
Yeah.
It really bothered
Faith.
me. Hi, Faith. How you going?
She hasn't read Coho, and she doesn't plan to.
Yeah, no, don't blame you.
Coho books if you want to read a fluff piece and a palette cleanser. Interesting, because
Really?
well, it depends on the books, I'm guessing, because she's written a few, but I've heard a few of them are like, excuse my choice of words, but hard hitting.
Yeah, every single one that my sister has read has had her scratching her brain and being like, what on earth did I just read? Like, it's very twisty and mind bending. So I find it interesting that people still describe them as fluff pieces, because I wouldn't, from what she's told me about the plots of the books that she's read, I would not even a little bit describe those as fluff.
Mm.
How interesting.
Yeah. Hello, Olivia Savannah. And she's working while listening to this, which
Amazing.
is funny, because 2 days ago, or a day ago or something, I don't know. I think it was 2, because I think I was in the office. Yeah. I was watching Olivia's live stream while working.
Amazing.
God
love time zones.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the workday just started as well.
Depends. I assume UK time.
Yeah, 10:50. Okay, so
Yep.
Getting on in the day. We've also talked much longer. This was supposed to finish at 9 p.m.
Are you surprised though?
Yeah, after this we still have to do the extra thing that I want to do.
I know.
Nevermore.
Yeah, Nevermore definitely
Wednesday
has Wednesday Addams vibe. It reminds me I think the best way to describe Nevermore would be if Matilda the Musical met Netflix's Wednesday series. If you meshed them together and aged like the characters down to, Matilda's age, that would be the vibe that I think I got from Nevermore.
Cool. Faith read Midnight Sun, given it to her sister to read.
I do want to read it. Maybe I'm going camping with my family in April, and the first time I read a couple of the Twilight books was when I was camping with them. So maybe I should read Midnight Sun on this camping trip.
Do it.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should make that happen. I could do a reading vlog for it. Bring back the old YouTube channel for... Yeah. So actually, that would be a lot of fun. And I'm half being forced to go on this trip, funnily enough, by my sister's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because everyone else was going, and I was a bit like, oh, I don't know. And he goes, "No, you're coming." I was like, oh, okay, no worries.
Yeah. So, I did briefly hear about this. I didn't look into it at all, but I heard that it happened.
I did not. Did they think that their books were going to get more popular or something? Or?
I think that was the gist of it. Like, like when an artist dies, their art goes up in price. So I think they were doing the same thing to see if it worked on their books.
That's some like sociopathic behavior right there. That's weird.
Yeah, I think it was like she came back like 2 years later or something.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. That is, sure something. Lola, definitely not the side of TikTok I'm on.
I like ASMR. That's nice.
Yeah, I don't like when anyone uses their mouth for ASMR, but I oddly get a lot of scrapbooking ASMR, and I like that one.
I like tapping. Tapping's my biggest one that I really like.
Yes. Milo.
I think the yes was about the medium boy.
Maybe. That's the whole show right there. So yeah,
maybe I don't need to rewatch the show. Maybe I have enough of a gist of it in my brain that I probably could just dive in.
The Shadow and Bone social media accounts did post a recap of season 1. So
okay, maybe I'll just watch that and just dive in, and then I can message you guys like I did for the first season, being like, I understand nothing. I had to ask them to properly be like, okay, explain to me the Grisha, explain to me everything, because the show's not explaining it well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the
we had
one
to break
complaint
down.
I had about the show. I don't think they explained the Grisha very well at all, and I needed that breakdown.
Yeah, we literally were like, okay, these are the orders, these are their powers, these are who the people are.
Yes, I read it. I watched it as a non-book reader, someone who hadn't read the book series, and yes, I would really recommend it. That's about us talking for a lot longer than we were supposed to. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've sat down and chatted books with someone, so I miss it.
Yeah,
and enjoy it. It's
the
fun.
funny thing though is I plan on doing the same thing that I did with Mel's, is making a reel and then being
Good
like,
luck.
To do that I downloaded the whole thing with Mel, and then just found what I wanted. We're almost 3 hours in.
Good luck. As someone who consistently downloads and goes through my streams to pick out the clips that I do for my monthly highlights videos, good luck. Some of my streams go for like 12 hours and I sit there and I go through it and I pick out what I want. There's a reason why I'm 13 months behind in editing.
Yeah. Hey, Coho Books is a fun time when you're reading, but it's not like, OMG, this is mind-blowing. Okay.
Okay, I get that, yeah. I read and I've heard of it. It's really intense. Yeah, some of her stuff is interesting. It's funny. One of the books, I think it was Verity. I keep telling my sister she should read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, because it's basically, Verity basically has the same plot, but without even having read Colleen Hoover's book, I know that Rebecca was done better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even need to read it to know that Rebecca was better.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
it's
family
read.
books.
Okay, I think both Cat and Cat had read, I think you'd both read the books first, and it was just me that hadn't, and I was going to, and then I changed my mind. I went, actually, no, I kind of want to know what it's like going into this not having read the books. And I feel like apart from that one thing where they didn't explain the Grisha well enough for me to be able to follow it without help, it was really good.
I reckon there might be a discussion of the three of us talking about it in one of our live streams where we were supposed to be talking about the group book, but then we ended up talking about the show.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah, I just can't remember if that made it to the stream or if it was we end up talking for an hour more afterwards thing.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Not even a little bit.
Only Coho book that got me was Maybe Someday, because it had a secondary character that had.
Oh,
is that
maybe I have read a Colleen? Yeah, I think so. Maybe I have read a Colleen Hoover book, because I've read a book called Maybe Someday.
Okay.
Is it the music one?
Yeah, that makes sense. That would get you.
It's the music one. But, well, there you go. I have read a Colleen Hoover book. Funnily enough, that was because of the biannual bibliothon. It was one of the group books. So there you go. Yeah, the one about the music thing. Yeah, well, there you go.
I've read them all. Yeah, March 16th, and it's dropping all at once, unlike Daisy Jones and the Six, which is coming March 3rd, and I thought that was all dropping all at once, but it turns out it's a 3-episode drop and then weekly. So
it's okay, guys. I gave it a 3 stars. And I was like, I liked it, but I also hated it. Because funnily enough, I hated the 2 main characters.
No.
Fair. Cool. Can wipe that book from my brain.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like if you read fast, you could read it all by then, but not if you read slow.
Yeah, because you've got basically exactly a month.
Haunting Adelaide is a fun time. That's how my brain rolls. I don't know what that one is about, but the title, it doesn't give off fun time.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Did we make it to the end of the comments? No way. Look at us go. Success.
And then they'll just keep going.
No, let's talk fast.
Yeah, this was meant to be a 20. Yeah, this was meant to be a 20-minute talking session about readathons. We talked about readathons maybe 5 minutes, and then we went into Throne of Glass.
How
and then...
the heck? It was probably my fault. I will not apologize because this has been a fantastic discussion that I've really enjoyed being a part of.
Okay. Comes out the day before I move back to Adelaide.
You're coming back?
Yeah. Meet up with Jenna.
Heck yes.
You probably have to go into the city because she lives on the other different side of the city.
Yeah. That's okay. I can city. Fun.
And I feel like this is a perfect ending.
I agree. When we got to the end of the comments, I was like, and scene.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Jenna, where can everyone find you? What's coming up in your life that you can talk about publicly?
Mostly, I'm way more active on Twitch than I am on YouTube. I want to get back to YouTube, don't get me wrong. I want to get back to the vlogs. I enjoy doing accountability vlogs. They were really helping me be productive. But mostly Twitch. If you feel like watching someone get lost a lot in video games and be really emotional about stories that you didn't expect to get emotional in, Twitch is the place for you.
Yeah. Yes, chats were good.
Chats were great.
Yes.
Yes, meet up definitely.
Sorry, Lola. I have to get up tomorrow morning anyway because the Shadow and Bone season 2 trailer is dropping. Yes. So I have to film my reaction to that before I go out to the cinema with Kate. Well, actually, no, we're having lunch, and then we're going to the cinema, and then we're having dinner, and then we're going to go see Mary Poppins. So.
Oh, exciting!
It will be a day. Thank you for joining, Abby. Bye, Kate. See you in 14 hours.
Do the quick maths. I believe in you.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you. It's good time. We got good vibes going in chat. Vibes are good. Everyone is encouraged to use the Cortex SFX, which is Dr. Cortex from Crash Bandicoot laughing. And also, I fall off things a lot in video games. I was playing one the other day and I was running and didn't notice the cliff and I fell off said cliff. So I have a gravity sound effect, which is Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory saying, "Oh, gravity, thou art a heartless bitch." It's a great time. Feel free to mock me with that.
What movie?
I assume Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Yeah. Like, I assume it will be Ant-Man.
Yeah, thank you for joining, Zoe. Okay, we're going to go now. Yeah, subscribe to Jenna on YouTube and Twitch. And thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thanks for being here.
Bye.